everybody. I hope you're all well. I trust the sun is shining over you, the birds are chirping overhead, and that there is a promise in the air of a better tomorrow. Okay guys, before I get into today's video, I want to clear the air a bit and get the nasties out of the way. Firstly, I honestly did not criticize a single royal in yesterday's video. I did, however, criticize the workmanship and apparent lack of knowledge of the current British designers and their seamstresses, and with good reason. Anyone who is in the clothing industry in any capacity would know that tweed would not be the right fabric for the dress Sophie wore. Even the tea lady at a clothing factory would know that. It is a pity because in my younger years I thought British-made clothing was indeed the best. I had jeans from England which I bought in 2008, which I wore until about 2 years ago. Socks I bought there in 2008 or 2014, which I'm still wearing. An embroidered coat which I wore from 2008 until last winter, and so on and so forth. Well, I've said this quite a bit recently, but I'm going to repeat myself for those who did not listen to those videos. I have been relatively lucky compared to other creators. I had very little harassment, a couple of threats and a few nasty comments and emails almost every time I mentioned Charles and so on. But compared to what I'm hearing from others, the quantity of harassment was minor. I also told you that for the past, how many years, 2 or 3, I kept YouTube's filter on. But lately, and for no reason, no apparent reason, the harassment and nasty comments, DMs and email have dramatically escalated, some even slipping through the YouTube filter, like the one on your screen. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I consider myself fairly thick-skinned and mature, but I have to also protect my own mental health. So if you swore at me in your comment or wished me harm, then don't come back to me and ask me why your comment disappeared, blah, blah, blah. I mean, really? In 7 years of doing this, I think I blocked 3 to 5 people from my channel and reported 1. But this is becoming ridiculous. I hate making an issue about this because it feels like a waste of time. So I'm not jumping on here each time someone wishes I rot in hell. But take this as a promise. The fact that I don't live in the United States or the United Kingdom does not mean I can't take action against you. I can, and I have done so before. And if I report you to your High Commission in another country, like South Africa or the last time when I was in Canada, you are not going to get a visit from the police, but from the FBI or MI5, as you are committing a crime across state and country borders. So keep it up and enjoy yourself until I choose you to make an example of. And that is all I have to say about that. Okay, next thing. In a previous video, I spoke about President Trump and his tariffs, and I actually said that I 100% understand why he's doing it, and I even agreed that it is time the United States stops playing Big Daddy to everyone and everyone run to the United States begging. I also understand that President Trump is putting America first, exactly what you hoped and voted for. But unfortunately, it is true that the 30% in tariffs is going to hit South Africa with an already dicey economy very, very hard. It is also a fact that our export farmers will have to recover the money somehow, and there are only two ways for them to do it, and that is to get rid of a portion of their labor force and or put prices up, and food is already almost unaffordable here in South Africa. Earlier in the year, President Trump imposed 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada and 20% on China. And seeing the impact it had on Canada, it is but a logical deduction to make that it will hit a country like South Africa much harder. And of course, we are nervous. The other fear is that Trump is already threatening another 10% on top of the city due to South Africa's involvement with BRICS. I know my fellow South Africans, and I can tell you that we are as stubborn as heck, and I can tell you that it's likely that the South African government and of course farmers and the like will forge bigger trade agreements with the likes of China and Russia, who are indeed offering lower tariffs. Now, I don't know what to tell you. I'm no expert. I read and understand the basics of our economy, and I know when people are getting nervous, and I mean people like me. I just think that until it has taken effect on the 1st of August, we won't exactly know what effect it will have on our economy. But thinking it through, it is rather scary for us as South Africans. Okay guys, and now for today's royal video. Let's talk royals and the not so royals. But I'm going to start in a completely different place, okay, and we are going to work it towards the royals, if you don't mind. Okay, now we'll start with the top tier and work our way down to the riffraff today, okay. Alright, now I see Keir Starmer is not only in talks with Emmanuel Macron, but also with Larry Fink of BlackRock. Now, for those of you who've been with me for a while will know that I have a bee in my bonnet about BlackRock, and I've spoken about them numerous times. You can call me a conspiracy theorist, but I think we are often distracted by things so that we don't see what is really happening behind the scenes, as is the case with BlackRock and Vanguard, the biggest investment firms in the world. And then BlackRock owns the majority share in Vanguard. So there's that. BlackRock has about 10 trillion, yes folks, trillion with a T, dollars under its management, and continues to pump billions into fossil fuels and arms companies. And its reach extends into almost every aspect of the economy and society of almost every country, even China. Think of any industry, then think of the top 10 companies in that particular industry, and there's a good chance BlackRock has shares in it. Think of British Airways, Rolls-Royce and AstraZeneca. Although relatively small, BlackRock also have investments in infrastructure like your electricity grid, water systems and toll roads. But okay, hang on to your hats, it gets worse. In January 2024, BlackRock announced that it would buy Global Infrastructure Partners, which controls about $170 billion worth of assets worldwide, including, I hope you're sitting down and took your meds today, well, including Gatwick Airport and Hornsea 1, 2, and 3, the world's largest offshore wind farm in the North Sea. The Hornsea wind farms is about 75 miles off the east coast of England. Project 1 got planning consent in 2014 and construction started in 2018, and the first turbines started supplying power to England's national grid in February 2019. Now, it's bad enough that BlackRock is buying up UK's infrastructure, but Labour and Keir Starmer and the King are actively encouraging it. Why am I bringing King Charles into this? Because the King knows Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, fairly well, and they met on numerous occasions. Charles and Larry, for instance, met a couple of times in 2023. For instance, in November 2023 at COP28 and in July 2023, he visited Windsor Castle for a climate-themed event led by King Charles. Also, if you visit the website of various charities and royal charitable projects, you will find the name of BlackRock either in the small print or as a donor, or then representing a donor. When asked who rules the world, I always say BlackRock does. So what does this mean for the average Joe? Now, my immense fear is that Britain is being sold to BlackRock and other entities like BlackRock piece by piece. And it is clear that it is supported and promoted by the Labour government and approved of by the King. Now, I may sound a little like a conspiracy theorist, but everything I just said is indeed true, and receipts are readily available online. And the point of this is, however, not to scare you, but to warn you or inform you, because eyes wide shut has never worked in anyone's favour ever. Okay, my dears, and then I heard a few rumours. I'm actually busy putting feelers out, etc., to see how many of these are actually true. But let's go ahead and tell you about it anyway, okay? Now, please note, what I am about to tell you are only rumors, okay? Someone I reached out to about 3 years ago, I think, maybe more or less, I don't know, to advise me of some American legislation and laws, etc., contacted me and told me that it appears as if Meghan and Harry are looking at maybe selling their Montecito home. According to what she was told, someone on behalf of Meghan and Harry had called an ex-colleague of hers for an appraisal of the property. There's also a rumor that they are thinking about leaving the United States. and another which I indeed actually know there's some truth to it, namely that Harry and Meghan to an extent would prefer for Archie to start school in England in September rather than in California in August. Now, I know Harry mentioned Archie's schooling to someone, but I'm not sure that Meghan would be in on allowing Archie to go back to England. I'm not sure about that. That is, if he isn't there already. But anyway, I also hear that Meghan is now talking about season 3 of Love, Meghan. And I mean, that is before we've even seen the faux season 2. Now I'm asking you, do you think Meghan is manifesting again, or will there indeed be a season 3? Okay, guys, I'm keeping it short today because there are all kinds of building work going on here. We're building a wooden deck outside, but nothing posh, just so that the little garden shed we have no longer stands in the mud. So there's a lot of knocking and banging going on, and I just quickly asked them to be quiet for 2 minutes so I can record. Okay, guys and girls, please take good care of yourselves until we meet again on the next one. And remember, always stay safe. Until the next one. Bye.